one last trip to Toad and Ivy's before the weather turned too cold. And oh my goodness, what a glorious sight. Glorious? Okay, that's really not like me. But what a beautiful sight the leaves had on our way there. But by the time we got to our land, as you can tell, the leaves had pretty much all fallen off the trees. Our goal this trip was just to get some sort of cover made for the sawmill. There were already bolts coming up from the cement from an existing building that was there before. So we just used those to put our beginner poles, I guess you would call them, into place. Now, going up there this weekend, we did not take our normal camp trailer. So we had to, car camp, and we didn't have a table, so we created a table. Now, Sadie, she got the lovely job of being the pooper scooper committee. Up where we have our land, grazing on private land is allowed because there's a lot of cows, and it's in an area where farmers pretty much rule, or ranchers. So we had to clean up all the cow manure, and it was nasty. So if you've got any tips to keep the cows off of our land, we'd love to hear them. So we got the support pillars up and also the beam across the top. And remember, this is all from wood that we milled on the land last time we were there. So it's so awesome to see it starting to come together. Jason had some nice big long lag bolts that he was able to, they weren't really bolts, they were screws that he was able to attach down through the top, which made it very secure. For this trip, we didn't tow up our normal camp trailer because we needed to bring back the other trailer that we had on the property. So we had to car camp, meaning everything that we took had to fit in our car. So we packed a little stove, and here is our sweet daughter making her some lunch. Check out that beautiful sunset. Even with all the dead standing trees from the fire, clear out, you can see the amazing colors in the sky. The sunset was gorgeous. We were only able to schedule 2 days up at the land, well, really a day and a half up there this time. And we knew this was our last trip up, so we really had to work hard. This was what Jason had accomplished after the first day, which I feel like he did a pretty good job, and we were well on our way to getting it completed, or close to it, on Saturday. That night turned nice and cold real quick, but our fire, we built us a little fire pit up by the cabin area, and it was a beautiful night. The morning was downright frigid. Did you know these little stoves don't work if it's below 32 degrees outside? Guess what? It was below 32 degrees. When we first got up in the morning, we looked at our little thermostat that we had brought with us, and it said about 30 degrees. And we thought, okay, that's just fine. That's not that bad. But then as the sun started to come up, the thermostat, it dropped to 16 degrees. And we could not get the stove to work to cook breakfast. And I thought, what are we going to do? I'm like, I can cook breakfast over a fire. I've done it plenty of times. And then my son goes, hey, there's that grate that was left here. So he went and got this grate, and we put it over the fire. And there I am cooking our sausage in my pajamas over the fire. It was so cold. But you know what? We slept warm. If you're prepared, you can sleep warm. So then we added some scrambled eggs to the sausage, and voila, we had a great breakfast. But here's the crazy thing. Anything that was in the cooler did not freeze. But if it was in our tote, it froze. So I'd like to now call the cooler the warmer and the tote the freezer, because our English muffins that we had in our tote were frozen. So we just laid them across the grate, and we warmed them up, and then we opened them up, and they toasted up beautifully. All right, while the boys were working on the sawmill shed, I wanted to get the area down by the cabin cleaned up, and it had a lot of burned timbers that were down on the ground. As you can see what these look like, they're not timbers, they're joists from when the fire came through. And so we hooked them up to the four-wheeler, and we were able to drag them up to the sawmill. These boards were black and filthy and heavy, so it took a lot of work to get them pulled up to the sawmill. Mainly they were just really dirty, and so we ended up really filthy by the end of working with these. I love how my daughter here stops and asks me, Mom, is everything hooked up okay? Does the chain look okay? Because she did it herself for the first time and she was a little bit worried. But guess what? She did a fantastic job and she was able to get those logs up to the sawmill. Here is one of the logs that had been gone through the fire that we milled. And some people have thought we were a little bit crazy to reuse these because they're like, how are they any good? But look at the inside of this. They really are still in great shape and still structurally sound. When you see that once you get off the black, the wood is gorgeous underneath. Now I'm gonna give a shout out right now to this kid right here. You have never met a harder working 16-year-old in your entire life. This kid starts at the sun up, sun down, working hard, doing whatever his dad asks him to do and whatever he doesn't ask him to do. He just wants to be part of it all the time. William, how scary is it? Pretty scary. Like really scary. No broom, no problem. She figured out how to get rid of all the sawdust. All right, proof I actually do work and not just video the whole time. These plywood sheets were heavy. The lean-to shed thing, whatever we want to call it, was tall, and we were exhausted. It was the end of the day, but we had to get these up there so that we had some sort of roof over the top. So together we hefted them up there and got them nailed into place, but they were heavy and it was a lot of work. And here you have it. It's not pretty and it's not done, but it should keep the sawmill dry for the winter. And that's a wrap. See you next spring. We hope to maybe get a few days of snowshoeing up at our land, but there's no more work days until after the snow. If you've enjoyed watching our progress, subscribe to our channel. Just in case you forget about us over the winter, when I have a new video this spring, you'll see it.